listening to The Mineral Way. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and Dave Michaels. We're here for another edition. We're going to break down nutrition. We're going to tell you how minerals work inside your body. We are going to explain to you how to become a healthier person. And it's relatively simple, Ben Fuchs. There's not much to it, but
relatively. No, it is simple. You know why it's simple, Dave?
Tell me, Ben.
Because the body wants to heal.
Yeah.
It's programmed to heal. That's what we really want to understand. Every time you cut yourself, you are witness to the testimony of the healing properties of the human body. You know, you get a shaving cut, for example.
Yeah.
A day later, the shaving cut is gone. And in between, collagen and connective tissue fibers have wound their way to the area, and new skin cells have kind of sealed off the cut, and immune cells have cleared up any infection or any bacteria that are present. And 2 days later, it's gone. You don't have the cut. That is the testimony of the healing process, of the healing program that's built into every cell and every organ and every tissue of the body. It's like an icon of the healing properties of the human body, and we really want to respect that. Our bodies are designed to heal. And even more importantly, Dave, the bone is stronger at the point of the break. We heal stronger.
That is amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, totally.
And you know what the classic example of not only the healing properties of the human body, but the ability of the human body to heal bigger and better and stronger. You know what the classic example is?
What?
Exercise. Think about it. You go to the gym and lift weights. You do your curls, your dumbbell curls, for example. What are you doing, really? Your muscles are tearing in response to the stress, in response to the resistance that the dumbbells are putting on the muscle, and the muscles are literally tearing. And what happens the next day?
You're sore. Yeah, they get bigger. Yeah, your muscles get bigger.
This is an amazing phenomena. You know, if you don't want to get dementia or Alzheimer's disease as you get older, do crossword puzzles, learn a new language, brush your teeth with the opposite hand, put a stress on your brain, and you get more neural connections. You get more blood flow to the brain. The point is that the body is designed to respond to stress and to respond to injury by getting bigger and better and stronger, and we can all leverage that property if we know what we're doing. And it's not hard. All you got to do is put the good stuff in and keep the bad stuff out, and give the body a chance to do its recovery work with appropriate rest. And I call it, by the way, this phenomena I call the relationship between exercise and rest, rest. The exercise portion is when you put a stress on the system, whether it's a neural system like your brain, or whether it's a mechanical system like your muscles or your connective tissue. You put a stress on the system, you rest the system. While that system is resting, it's growing and it's recovering. It's getting stronger, bigger and stronger and better. And then you feed the system, flood the system with nutrients. And it's really as simple as that. Now, we as human beings have created a society and have created a culture that has kind of manipulated our most base desires to our ultimate detriment, and that is foods. We are designed through evolution, through millions of years of evolution, to crave certain kinds of foods that give us a buzz, if you will. And when I say a buzz, a reward. In neurochemistry, there is a phenomena called reward chemicals. Have you heard of this term, reward chemicals?
No, never.
Reward chemicals are chemicals that are made in your brain that make you feel like you just won the lottery. Specifically, there's one called dopamine, which is a very well-known, these days anyway, a well-known molecule that's made by the brain that when its levels go up, you feel really good. And dopamine levels are supposed to go up when you complete a project, when you finish something, when you accomplish a goal, when you go over the hill to see what's climb the hill to see what's in the valley on the other side of the hill, on the other side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to push you. So when you accomplish something, you get a hit of dopamine. However, over the last 100 years, 120, 130 years, we have figured out how to hack into dopamine. And this hacking into dopamine is the ability to hack into dopamine is represented by our food supply. Our food supply is specifically designed to jack up our dopamine levels. Even if the foods aren't nutritious, they are dopamine inducing. That's why we're addicted to sugar. Sugar makes you feel like you just won the lottery via this dopamine neurotransmitter. You know what else?
What?
Cocaine,
Oh,
marijuana,
yeah, okay.
gambling.
Oh.
All things we're addicted to because they hack into our dopamine system. So instead of completing a project, instead of accomplishing something, which is really what dopamine is supposed to encourage you to do, we can hack into it with a Snickers bar. Or we can hack into it with by buying lottery tickets. Or we can hack into it by doing a line of cocaine.
Yeah, that's bad though, Ben. That's bad. We don't encourage that.
Exactly. And the real problem is that this dopamine rush, or the tendency of the body to turn on dopamine secretion when we accomplish something, is manipulated by food suppliers, by cracker companies and cereal companies and candy companies. And this is why we can't stop eating the food, because when we eat the food, we feel good. We get a burst of dopamine in addition to serotonin and other neurotransmitters. So while it's easy to be healthy, because of the way we're manipulated and our strings are being pulled by food suppliers, we figured out how to hack into dopamine. Not just food suppliers, but also drug suppliers. We figured out that we could hack into dopamine without having to complete a project, without having to accomplish a goal, without having to do something that's functional and that promotes that supports the evolution of human beings and human society.
And this is a bad thing, Ben, that I get that high while sitting on the couch, that you're telling me that's a bad thing.
Yes, you're not supposed to get dopamine by sitting on the couch, but if you're eating potato chips and Ben & Jerry's, you're going to be secreting dopamine. You're going to be hacking into the dopamine system, and you won't have to do your taxes, and you won't have to wash the dishes, and you won't have to build that cabinet or clean the garage or all the other things that naturally support dopamine and at the same time make you better.
Doing taxes builds your dopamine?
Any goal, yes. Completing.
Man.
Did you ever have a project that you were procrastinating on for
all the time? Yeah.
Right? And then how do you feel when you finally do that project?
Oh, I feel great, Ben.
Great.
Yeah.
That's called dopamine. That's the feeling that we're supposed to get when we accomplish a goal, but we get instead these days by eating Ben & Jerry's.
Well, I don't do that, Ben. You know,
I know you.
Whenever I see cocaine, I'm like, get that out of here. I got my tangy tangerine, Ben. That stuff, and people don't believe it. You know, and I probably say it too often, but that stuff makes you feel amazing. And
isn't that amazing?
It is.
I know.
Fantastic stuff, Ben.
It's almost like you feel a little uncomfortable telling people how amazing it is.
Totally, yeah, totally, because it feels like you're telling, you're blowing smoke.
Up. Yeah.
But it's not what we're doing. It absolutely is miraculous. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions, Ben. I'm going to run some of them by you. But the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack has been on the list. People have been asking me about the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
Good.
So I've been telling them a little bit about it, but the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, for people who don't know, is what we do is we start off with the Healthy Start Pack. All these packages, whether it's the blood sugar pack, the bone and joint pack, the brain and heart pack, whatever it is, we all start off with the Healthy Start Pack, and that has your 3 basic ingredients. That's your tangy tangerine, OsteoFX, and EFA Plus. And the brain and heart pack has those things, yes, but we add an extra bottle of EFAs and selenium. So I thought we would talk about these products, Ben, a little bit today, and then answer some questions that have been texted to me. Now, if people want to send a text message, they can do that. That's probably the easiest way to do it, because right now I don't have the email set up. But if you do want to ask a question, the best way to do it is to text the question to 831-218-5726. That's 831-218-KSCO, and we will answer the questions in the following podcast. But this time I have a couple of questions, and we're going to talk about the brain and heart pack.
Okay, why don't you want to talk about the brain and heart pack first, or you want to answer questions?
Let's answer questions first, because I think people, we want to help people.
Are we live?
No, we are not. This is a podcast. I asked people to call in, Ben, as an experiment, but it won't work because there's another show going on in the other studio. So,
but we will do it live one of these days, right?
We can do it live, yeah, and we can have questions. They can call in as long as they call in at 6 p.m. on Monday evening. They'll be able to get in live. But right now it's just you and I, Ben. So let's answer the questions, because we want to help people. We can get to the brain and heart pack, and they can go to the Mineral Way. The website is working. The podcast, they can order that stuff, the brain and heart pack. They can see it there. But let's help people, Ben. Let's do our best to help people.
That is really what this is all about.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if I said this on the last podcast, but my favorite quote from the Bible, Hosea 4:6. Did we talk about that?
No.
My people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that really is the biggest problem we have. The problem isn't too many doctors and too many drugs and too much lousy food. It's that we don't understand our bodies. Mm-hmm. We can program our home appliances, but we can't program our pancreas. We don't even know what our pancreas is or what our pancreas does. If you ask the average person what their pancreas is, you think they would know? No, because we don't understand our bodies, and our doctors, our medical professionals, are not helping us. They're not telling us. You know what the word doctor means?
What, Ben?
Teacher. Did you know that?
No.
Doc comes from the word doctrine.
No.
Our medical professionals should be teaching us. We need the information. We're operating our bodies blindly, and it's costing us joie de vivre, and it's costing us longevity, and it's costing us health, and it's causing tremendous, gratuitous, unnecessary suffering. So yes, this is about helping people with information and knowledge, and of course, wonderful, powerful longevity products that help us leverage that information and knowledge.
Now there's a few things that we have to avoid, Ben. Like I can't mention the names of diseases, but we're going to make it obvious what we're talking about.
No, let me address that real quick.
Okay.
Yes, you can't mention names of diseases. You know why? Because they're copyrighted. They're brand names. The medical model owns those names. But the biochemical phenomena that are behind those names are generic, and they're not owned by anybody. So, for example, you have diabetes, right? That's a brand name. But the biochemical phenomena that is behind diabetes, or represented, that diabetes represents, is called dysglycemia. And while you can't say diabetes, you can say dysglycemia all day long.
You just said diabetes twice. So, Ben, before we get any further, let me just put a disclaimer.
You can say diabetes, just a word, but you can't connect your supplements or your products.
Right. So let me just say this in case something does slip by. These products are not meant to treat, cure, prevent any of that stuff. Always follow the advice of your doctors and all that.
I'm sticking my finger down my throat right now.
That's not very mature, Ben. Okay, so let's get to the mailbag, Ben. Let's get to the mailbag.
Yes, sir.
Is AFib a medical term that I should avoid using?
No, AFib is not. AFib is not a disease.
Okay,
atrial fibrillation is a biochemical or a biological phenomenon.
So what is the deal with AFib? That is the first question. I don't know what the exact question was, but it's about AFib.
Okay, it's kind of,
what do you recommend for AFib?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I recommend, but I want to just talk a little bit about what AFib is, because I've been hearing a lot about AFib lately. Have you noticed that you're hearing a lot about AFib?
No, but that's...
As a healthcare professional, I've been hearing a lot about it.
Okay.
So here's the deal.
Okay.
So the heart is made up of chambers, compartments.
Okay.
And the atrium, or the atria, are the two upper chambers of the heart. There's 4 chambers in the heart.
Okay.
Okay, so the atria are the two, the atrium is one of the 2 upper chambers of the heart. And the atria, you have 2 atria. The atria is a part of the heart that receives the blood, and one of the atrium, the left atrium, receives the blood. And well, I don't want to get into too much details. The point I want to make is the atria, or the part of the heart that fibrillates, is a representation of a heart that is not healthy. And I love the word fibrillation.
It's a cool word.
It's a cool word, right?
Yeah.
When you think of fibrillation, even if you don't know anything about science, what does that kind of sound like to you?
Sounds like some kind of fluttering movement.
Fluttering, yes. It's very descriptive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like jello. It's like wobbly. See, the heart is not supposed to be wobbly. The heart has to be strong. It's a muscle. And the heart has to be able to pump in a strong, powerful way. But if it's fibrillating, it doesn't pump effectively. And when you have atrial fibrillation, your blood doesn't move effectively, and this can lead to all kinds of circulatory problems and ultimately strokes and God forbid, blood clots and God forbid strokes.
Yikes!
Right? So it's a serious problem. But what I want everybody to understand is that when you have atrial fibrillation, you have a heart that is stressed, that is freaked out. It's like a baby. It's like a baby that is scared. And when a baby is scared, what do? Do you cut the baby's tongue out?
No, I go in the other room.
No, you don't. You poison the baby?
No.
You see what the baby needs. You see what's troubling the baby. You help the baby. And it's not just the heart, by the way. This metaphor of treating health challenges and problems in the body like babies. Every single health challenge we have is our body crying. And instead of cutting the tongue out of the baby, which is what surgeries do.
Jeez.
I know it sounds
that's
gross,
horrible.
Right?
Yeah, that's
but
terrible.
That's what a surgical procedure is. People have a gallbladder problem, they take the gallbladder out. That's like cutting the tongue out of the baby. Or they poison the baby. Would you poison the baby? Would you give the baby a drug so he shuts up? No.
Wouldn't even think about it, Ben.
No, exactly. But we do that with the body. We do that with the heart. They say, oh, man, your heart, you have atrial fibrillation. We're going to give you a beta blocker, which poisons the heart. How stupid is that? Why? Who came up with this idea of poisoning the heart to make it better? In fact, they will actually electrocute the heart in order to get it to go back in rhythm. They call it an ablation, where they actually cauterize part of the heart with electrical energy.
Dang.
Would you ever do that to your baby when he was crying? Of course not. I know it sounds gross and sounds terrible, but that's what we're doing. So when you have atrial fibrillation, you've got a stressor on the heart, which means a stressor on the body, which really means a stressor in the blood. The blood is not delivering oxygen to the heart. The heart is very dependent on oxygen, and when it doesn't get enough oxygen, it does not operate effectively. It does not operate like a powerful muscle. It fibrillates.
Okay.
So first thing is oxygen.
Okay.
So that means slow, deep breathing. And in fact, you can get your heart back into rhythm or back into a stable anti-fibrillated state, if you will, by breathing correctly, by practicing slow, deep breathing. But another huge problem, and really one of the most important causes of atrial fibrillation, is sugar. See, sugar reacts with blood vessels to cause blockages in a process called glycation, and atrial fibrillation and diabetes, or dysglycemia, we'll say, or metabolic syndrome, go hand in hand. So the first two things you want to do if you have atrial fibrillation issues is you want to make sure that you're practicing breathing techniques and breathing correctly. Exercise can help because that improves circulation. In fact, doing anything that improves your circulation is going to be helpful for the entire body, because blood is responsible for delivering oxygen and detoxification, as well as supporting electrical energy. So making sure that you're breathing correctly, moving your body so that you get better circulation, and treating yourself like a dysglycemic. I didn't say diabetes. I said treating yourself like a dysglycemic. And so I would get on the healthy blood sugar pack for sure. That has all your nutrients for helping you stabilize blood sugar. And then another very important class of nutrients for the heart are the B vitamins. The B vitamins are very important for energy production, and the heart is very dependent on energy. And it's one of the reasons why it fibrillates. It doesn't have enough energy. So using the B vitamins are extremely important for the heart. And one of my favorite things about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is that it is so loaded with the B vitamins. And then another very important nutrient for the heart are your ultimate EFAs and ultimate EFA plus, which I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
Right.
So oxygenation, getting off of the sugar, treat yourself like a dysglycemic. Get on the healthy blood sugar pack, which features, in addition to blood sugar stabilizing nutrients, the B vitamin dense Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the ultimate EFAs and the ultimate EFA plus.
So again, for AFib, you're saying to
treat yourself like a diabetic.
Okay.
Make sure you're
the blood sugar pack.
Healthy blood sugar pack, absolutely. Or you know what? The healthy brain and heart pack, which we're going to talk about here today.
Plus sweeties.
Yeah, I was going to say the healthy brain and heart pack is very similar to the healthy blood sugar pack, because brain health and heart health are very dependent on a healthy blood sugar system. In fact, Alzheimer's dementia is called type 3 diabetes. I don't know if you know that. That's the name for that's the technical name for, not technical, but that's the colloquial name for Alzheimer's disease, is type 3 diabetes.
I've been hearing that more and more, yeah.
Right? And the heart disease, which is the leading killer in this country, it's crazy that heart disease is the leading killer in this country. We haven't figured out how to deal with heart disease. The number one cause of heart disease is blood sugar issues, dysglycemia. So anytime you have a heart problem or brain problem, you want to treat yourself as a diabetic or as a dysglycemic. And so there's a lot of overlap between the healthy brain and heart pack and the healthy blood sugar pack.
Okay, our second question, Ben, because we want to keep these short. We're trying to keep these down to about...
That's a good point, because this was not comprehensive. We were keeping it short.
Yeah, we're keeping it to the point here. Yeah, there's obviously more, and a good way to find out more is to join our team, Ben, and we're going to be having these Zoom meetings and stuff, and so that's the time to really get into it. I love
that. Yeah, the Zoom meeting is going to be great. By the way, I was just reading today, this is a study from the University of Michigan, loneliness and isolation affect 1/3 of U.S. adults over 50.
In a good way or a bad way, Ben?
No, in a bad way, loneliness and isolation. Loneliness is the new smoking. Loneliness is a big problem. Well, you're not lonely, but can you imagine 1/3 of American adults over the age of 50 are lonely?
I would love to be lonely, Bill. I mean, Ben, are you kidding me?
You want some peace and quiet?
Yeah, some peace and quiet would be nice.
So just you and your cats?
Oh, now you're talking.
You're like a guy version of a cat lady.
Oh, I love cats.
I know you do. I know. I remember that.
Big cat
So
fan.
so here's the deal, though. Longevity is the antidote to loneliness. We give you a community of like-minded people,
Good point.
community of people that want to help change the world at the most fundamental level there is, which is the level of health and nutrition, and a community of people who are serious about taking care of their health. So everybody out there, if you're looking for a community, if you're looking for people that you can pal around with and hang around with and help change the world at the same time and make some money, sign up to join the Dave Michaels team. What are we calling our team here, Dave Michaels?
We haven't come up with a team, but you can go to the Mineral Way,
team.
the Mineral Way, and
team.
find more there. Ben, before we move on too far, there's a lot of people out there who know this kind of information that you're saying, and hearing it from you helps to reinforce it. But people who have this kind of knowledge or this kind of knack for storing this information, they would make perfect business builders. I mean, absolutely perfect.
Yes.
You don't even know how far ahead of the game you are. If this stuff sounds familiar to you, or if this is stuff that you're already preaching to others, this company, Longevity, offers a fantastic way for you to get out there and help people with the knowledge that you have. Don't just keep it to yourself. Help spread the information and make some money while you're at it.
And make some money, I was about to say. And also, I don't know if you know this, you probably know this, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
You can write off your home office. You can write off part of your rent or your mortgage. You can write off your gas mileage. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of business benefits that you can get from being a longevity distributor, not to mention, as you say, you can help change the world at the most basic level there is, the most fundamental level there is, which is good health and nutrition.
Absolutely, Ben. All right, so our second question, again, if you want to send a text message, that's 218-5726-831, 218-5726, and we will answer your question in the following podcast. This one is a bad one, Ben, and I wish I had a better way to put it, but it's cancer. Oh, geez, I hate even saying it, Ben.
It's cancer?
It's a vaginal cancer, yes.
Vaginal cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, cancer's cancer. And you don't want to necessarily focus on the organ.
Okay.
You want to focus on the cell. And really, there is no such thing as vaginal cancer. There's no such thing as breast cancer. There's no such thing as skin cancer. There's no such thing as prostate cancer. There's no such thing as bone cancer, or liver cancer, or kidney cancer.
Good, then I don't have to worry about it.
Right. Well, you do, because there's kidney cell cancer and prostate cell cancer and vaginal cell cancer. You see, we focus on the organ, but it's not an organ phenomena. It's a cellular phenomena.
Why make that distinction, Ben?
I'm about to tell you. That's a great question. You're such a sharp guy, Dave Michaels. That's why I love working with you. Why make that distinction? Because you can't treat an organ. You can only take the organ out. You can only poison the organ. But you can't treat a cell with drugs. But you can take care of a cell with lifestyle. There's no drugs that can fix a cell. You've heard me say this, I'm sure. All disease is cell disease. All disease is cell disease. We call it by the organ, but it's not an organ phenomenon. Diseases start at the cell level. Why is this important? Because you can fix or feed or oxygenate or nourish a cell. You can sustain a cell. You can't do that to an organ. You can work at the level of the cell. There's no drugs that can work at the level of the cell. The doctor's helpless at the level of the cell. And all a doctor can do, and I don't want to say doctor because it sounds like I'm attacking people, but all the medical model can do. And I love my doctor friends. Let me be clear here. I have a lot of friends who are doctors. I don't like ripping on doctors, so I'm not going to do that. They're good people by and large.
Yeah.
But the medical paradigm, the medical model is not equipped to address the cell, because all the medical model can do is drug a cell or excise a cell, remove the cell, or electrocute the cell. But it is not equipped to give the cell what it needs. So what does the cell need? It only needs 3 things. This is so unbelievably important and ironic at the same time, because our attention has been diverted from this nexus of the disease process towards the organ where we're helpless. And that's why we allow the doctor to take our gallbladder out when we have gallstones. or when we have gallbladder issues, or our female organs out when we have menstrual problems, or our breast out when there's a growth. Because we don't understand the cellular nature of the disease process, and we don't understand how simple it is to take care of a cell. So what does a cell need? A cell only needs three things, Dave. A cell needs food, it needs oxygen, and it needs a clean place to do its work. Period. That's it. Starvation, suffocation, and toxification are the only problems that a cell will have. Starvation, suffocation, and toxification, and that ultimately will lead to a dysfunctional cell, which then will cause a dysfunctional organ. So as long as we're keeping the system clean, and that means there's a lot of things, of course, not smoking, not drinking alcohol, not doing drugs, not eating sugar, not eating processed foods, all the things we talk about. The people roll their eyes. I'm sure a lot of people roll their eyes, not everybody, but some people roll their eyes at. So you got to keep the system clean. And also making sure that you're having good bowel movements and evacuating. That's also important. And sweating and drinking a lot of water also improve elimination and improve detoxification. And then secondly, oxygenation. The second thing that go wrong with a cell suffocation, and we talked about that before, is practicing slow, deep breathing techniques is so amazingly helpful. And you feel great when you do it. You feel so good when you practice slow, deep, rhythmic breathing on a regular basis. Go on YouTube and look up Wim Hof breathing. There's a lot of breathing videos now on YouTube. Also, moving the body is very important because, as I said earlier, when you move the body, you support the circulation of the blood, and it's the blood that's delivering oxygen to all the cells.
Okay.
And then the third element is food. A cell has to eat, but a cell doesn't eat hamburgers. It doesn't eat pizza. It doesn't eat broccoli. It doesn't eat eggs. A cell eats nutrients. A cell eats the mighty 90 essential nutrients. It's the food that a cell eats. And because we've created this food supply, it's almost intentionally designed to keep us deprived, we suffer. Our cells suffer. And this is why we have such an incredible epidemic of disease, even though we've got more medicalization than any other culture in the history of mankind. It's because our cells are starving. And this is what Dr. Wallach noticed 60, 70 years ago when he was a kid on a farm. He said, we're feeding our cows better than we're feeding our people. And that's really the genesis of the whole longevity philosophy, is that the veterinarians, because the farm animals represented money, were feeding their cattle the micronutrients, and the cattle weren't getting sick. And so Doc got the idea, hey, maybe we human beings can use multi-nutrients too. In fact, there's a funny story. I don't know if you ever heard this story. Doc had Tourette syndrome when he was a kid. He used to have tics. Mm-hmm. And you know how he cured himself? He reversed it. I can't say cure, but he reversed it. He started eating rabbit pellets. Did you ever hear the story?
I think so, yeah. Like
he would have them for breakfast. He had rabbit pellets for breakfast. He said his mother was horrified. But he knew that the rabbits were getting nutrients.
Is this when he grew a tail and long ears, Ben?
No, he didn't grow it. No, he had that. He was born with that. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Doc. That's not good.
He's got a good sense of humor, Doc.
Yeah, and he's a really cool guy. And he's absolutely brilliant. And every time I hear somebody rip on Doc, I get really mad. That guy has helped more people. More human beings have benefited from a health perspective from Doc's wisdom, as well as the Doc's formulations, than probably any healthcare professional in the history of man. And so anybody who doesn't appreciate Doc, shame on you. That guy is amazing.
Absolutely, Ben. So we talked a little bit about let's finish up with this case.
Cancer. Cancer.
Vaginal.
Yeah, cancer is a cellular phenomena.
Okay.
So what you have to do is, and cancer is a little tricky, and I know we're out of time, but it's such an interesting subject. I wish I could tell you a little bit more about it, but I'm just going to, how much time do we have, by the way?
We have like 8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to say this real quick.
Okay.
There's two types of cells. There's primitive cells and there's advanced cells. Okay, cells are the building blocks of everything, the human body, that is, of all biology and all plants, of everything that's alive, actually. And this idea that everything comes from cells is only about 150 to 200 years old. Cell theory was like the early to mid 19th centuries when they came up with cell theory. I think 1860 or 1870. And this says that everything comes from cells. So it's all about the cells. But there's two types of cells. You have primitive cells They call them pro cells. Pro means primitive, or actually technically prokaryotes. Karyote is Latin for cell. And then they have advanced cells, like me and you, like the ones in me and you, or the ones in people, and the ones in plants. Those are advanced. And advanced cells make things. Advanced cells are complicated. Advanced cells are able to produce various chemicals, and they have a very tightly regulated organization. They have a nanostructure. They have an architecture inside them. They're very, very complicated, and they require a lot of energy. Primitive cells don't. Primitive cells do not require the same kind of nutrients and energy that advanced cells do. But primitive cells, they don't do things. They're not functional. They don't have a lot of working parts. They're not organized. In fact, primitive cells can't make organs. Advanced cells can make liver. So you have liver cells. They can make heart. They have heart cells. You have intestine. You have intestinal cells, skin cells, etc. In fact, an advanced cell, in a way, is giving up its independence so it can become skin, or it can become liver, or it can become intestine or spleen or lung. You hear where I'm going here? Mm-hmm. They kind of give up their own personality so they can take it they can become part of the team. And that's what an advanced cell does. It becomes part of a team. It forms a team liver, team spleen, team skin, team brain, team kidney. They form communities that are organized into organs. That's where we get the term organs. They're organized into organs. Primitive cells don't do that. Primitive cells are bacteria. Bacteria are primitive cells. And bacteria, you never hear of bacterial organ. Bacteria form films. They're not complicated enough. They're not technical enough. They're not advanced enough to be able to form an organ. So they don't have a lot. They don't require the same kind of nutrients. They don't have the same structure. They're very primitive. They're backward cells. Advanced cells, they're very advanced, and they can do all kinds of things. When a cell is starved, suffocated, and toxic, the only three things that go wrong with a cell, that cell is supposed to die. In fact, there's a program, a genetic program built into cells that kill it. A suicide program. You remember? You're probably too young to remember this, but Mission Impossible, the TV show, not the movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He goes, "This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds." Remember that?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool when I was a kid. Well, that's what cells do. They self-destruct when they're dysfunctional. Why? Because they're not supposed to reproduce when they're dysfunctional. But every once in a while, rarely actually, but every once in a while, a cell will not kill itself. It won't suicide itself, kill itself. It instead will go backwards in time and become a bacterial cell or a prokaryote.
Whoa.
That's what a cancer cell is. A cancer cell is a prokaryotic cell. It acts like a primitive cell, and it doesn't form organs, and it doesn't have a complicated structure, and its only desire is to grow, which is what bacteria do. Their only desire is to grow and to divide, and it will steal nutrients because it's dividing so fast. But it's basically what the cell is saying. When you have, say, for example, skin cancer, it's like your skin cell is saying, "Dave, you know what? You haven't been feeding me. You've been suffocating me. You're making me swim in this ocean of toxicity and sugar and crapola. I am not going to be a skin anymore."
I would freak out that my skin's talking to me, Ben.
Okay,
That's
fine, but
unusual.
It is. Well, it is talking to you. You're just not listening. And all our organs are talking to us. And by the way, you can talk to your organs too. When you talk to your intestine gets very happy. Most of us only talk to our intestine when it hurts.
Yeah.
And you say, "Damn it, why do you hurt?" We never thank our intestine.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story. I digress. The point is that when we have cancer, it's the end result of a cancer cell that has just said, I don't know if I could say this on the air, "Screw you." What's a podcast? It's saying, "Screw you. I am not going to be a skin or a liver or an ovary or a breast anymore. I'm going to go out on my own because you have not been treating me right." And that's what cancer is. Cancer is the end result of cells that have been suffocated and starved and toxic for so long that they're at their wits' end and they don't know what else to do. So what do you do when you have cancer?
Yes.
Okay? God forbid. It's a horrible diagnosis, obviously.
We've got just a few minutes, Ben.
Okay.
So.
You got to be kind and loving to your body, your organs, and your cells. Kind and loving. And we all have to do this, but when somebody has cancer, it's even more important. because their body has actually switched on to this old way, this ancient way of operating, this bacterial way of operating. So you have to be kind and loving to your body. And when you have cancer, God forbid, the goal is not to cure the cancer. That is a lie, because they can't cure the cancer. They say it comes back every 5 years. Cure means if you don't have it for 5 years, you're in remission for 5 years, you say you're cured. That's not a cure. Cancers always come back. Why? Because you haven't changed the environment that the cell is sitting in. So when you have cancer, your goal is this: to feel better and stronger every day. You hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is not to cure the cancer, to kill the cancer. Okay? Your goal is to feel good, to feel strong, to feel happy. Does it do you any good if you get rid of the cancer, but you feel like you can't move, you're immobile, or you're nauseous all the time, your hair's falling out, all the things that happen? No. And this is why chemotherapy is so miserable, and there's some people who opt not even to have it. And the fact of the matter is chemotherapy is killing things. This is the medical strategy that we have. We look at the body like it's the enemy. We look at cancer like it's the enemy. Cancer's not the enemy. Cancer's us. It's our cells. They just don't know what else to do. So when you have cancer, you've got to flood the body with nutrition, even if it's intravenous, by the way. And intravenous nutrition is a great thing to do if you have any, not only if you have cancer, but if you just want to, you have a lot of money to spend and you don't want to, you want to age gracefully. You don't want to deteriorate. Movie stars do IV nutrition all the time. And so I would be doing IV nutrition. And then in conjunction with that, I would be doing pounding Beyond Tangy Tangerine, selenium, the zinc FX. Zinc is very important for anti-cancer. Vitamin C, the CFX, and the molecules of inflammation, and we should definitely talk about it. I know we're out of time, but we can talk about this on our next podcast. The molecules of inflammation and anti-inflammation. Nature's aspirin. Nature's version of Motrin or Advil or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are essential fatty acids, particularly omega-3, but also omega-6. And so I would be making sure that I was getting copious amounts of the Ultimate EFAs and the Ultimate EFA Plus as well. And of course, if you're a sugar eater, zero tolerance for sugar, zero tolerance for fried fats, zero tolerance for junk foods. And in fact, the less you eat, the better off you'll be. Eating's for kids, Dave. The less we eat, the longer we live. And that's one of the great things about nutritional supplementation is that it allows you to reduce your calories without losing nutrition.
Sounds good, Ben. We are out of time, dude. We're going to have to pick up on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack on the next episode, and we'll answer more questions, too. 831-218-5726. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you for joining us right here on The Mineral Way. And again, for people that want to join the team, just listen up because we have a message coming up after the show, which is just a few seconds away. So, Ben, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, David.
The Mineral Way. We'll see you next time.